Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Metal Gear Solid 5 S-Rank walkthrough. This is episode 6, Where Do the Bees Sleep? And finally, we have a video long enough where I can really talk shop about this game. So, this is a mission that I wasn't looking forward to because not only is it very long, but there is a fight against what the game classes as a boss. I don't count it as a boss because it's not a boss in my eyes, but the game does, and I suppose that's what's important. So we're going to be moving towards an area that is 1,800 meters away. The closest drop point we have is where I just came from. I believe you can probably change that if you free roam into these areas and you destroy one of the radar antenna dishes. It might let you drop closer, but I didn't do that because, once again, I'm not really doing that kind of stuff on this run. I don't think it's a bad thing, I think it's a great thing, and if you have the time to do that, feel free to do that. I am literally pushing on trying to S-rank this game with almost nothing, and I don't think it's going to work. I'm bound to have to do some mother-based stuff because some of the vehicle stuff coming up, I super need the cargo Fulton. Like, if I can get to the mission where I can get the transportation specialist, that is the first thing I'm going to be doing. And I think you can get one in mission 10, or episode 10. So as soon as I do that, I can then go back and do some of the vehicle ones, because blowing vehicles up on this game is not fun. Which, that's wrong, that's not the best way to put it. Blowing them up with a rocket launcher, tanks more than anything, is not fun. And you might wonder why, how can that not be fun? Well, in previous Metal Gear games, whenever you had to use a rocket launcher, the area was filled with refills. Like, look at the platform in Metal Gear Solid 2 when you're taking on Metal Gear Ray. You have two boxes next to where you start that constantly spawn Stinger ammunition because you have to use the Stinger. Then you skip forward to, spoiler, the Metal Gear on this game, Silanthropus. You have to shoot that thing with more Stingers than it took to kill every single Metal Gear Ray on European Extreme, which is like 36 of the bastards, to kill that dude because he's got so much life and your rockets don't do any damage unless you've got super high-end R&D. And you have to call drops in to get ammo back. And waiting for supply drops is the most boring, tedious, laborious, nonsensical, stupid design choice in this game outside of the fucking helicopter, the fucking mandatory wait to get into levels, the fact that when you restart a mission it doesn't drop you where the chopper landed you, it lands you back in the chopper to watch the aforementioned bullshit all over again, and the countless things that I hate about this game. But the supply drops is one of the worst. And I think it's a cool idea. I think the notion of dropping in supplies is great. It's just it takes so damn long. And nobody wants to wait for that stuff. And there may be an upgrade on the mother base that alleviates the wait time. But it doesn't matter. It's this notion of, if I'm taking on a Metal Gear and firing rockets at it, I've got, what, 7 rockets and then I'm fucked? This thing takes 40. Like, seriously. It's not fun waiting for ammunition. And if it wasn't like that, I'd have no issue at all whatsoever, but it is. So killing vehicles outside of laying C4 traps is only fun on vehicles that die in one C4. Tanks can take 3 to 4 C4s. It's just, I don't know, guys. The cargo Fulton is the best technique in this game because it turns vehicles from this just complete, like, flambe of assholery into something really, really great, into a fine casserole or a nice souffle. But before that, it's dull. It's really dull. And you can have those great emergent gameplay moments where it all kicks off and you go loud and you're firing grenades and you're getting in vehicles or you're using that D-Walker and chucking grenades and using smoke. And those moments can be great. But you're not going to get a fucking S-rank. So I can't do those moments for these parts. Those are the stuff that just kind of happens. And this game is full of those moments. It's almost Minecraftian in the way that this game, you make your own gameplay. And I think there's a lot of people that really love that. I think it's one of those really interesting things. Oh, if you're wondering here, folks, I wanted to use the D-Horse to block the road so I could try and get the prisoner, because there's a secondary objective for getting him, and it made me think he might help my mother base. But when I called the horse, there was a guy to my left and I had to back up. If you park the horse in the middle of a road, it will stop a vehicle. Guaranteed. I have no idea why they don't just drive around it, but they don't. So you can use this to set up all kinds of ambushes. And if I had the vehicle, Fulton, I'd have just whooped the vehicle up like that, but I don't. If I had the mine that paralyzes vehicles and electrocutes the passengers, an amazing tool which I'm probably never going to get in this run, I'd have used that, but alas, I do not have those things. But this right now is a good example of setting the barometer of what to expect in this game. So, we're 5 minutes into a video. Previously the video would have ended by now, because they've all been around 6 minutes long. This one, of course, is a little bit longer, and this one is the most honest that you've seen so far, because I had to keep a lot of this in, because this is mandatory stuff. I have to get to this base. There is a helicopter flying around, a gunship, that can see you in some pretty ridiculous scenarios, and there are a lot of opportunities to get spotted on your travelling path to this area because of all the guard posts in the way. If you were to stop by all of them and Fulton people, which you should be doing, you would have quite amassed a decent amount of good staff from this section. Got some resources, maybe got some blueprints. You would have aided your mother base and your future glories infinitely more than what I'm doing right now. However, this is one of the paths that I found to get here, and because I don't have the radar dash blown up, you know, I have to take the full path, so alas, there is this full video. Did I fall off then? No, I didn't. Bear in mind, guys, if you jump from too high a fall, the horse won't die, but you will. It's this weird, like, reverse nature thing. You know, the game developers didn't want you to be able to kill the horse, but they don't give a single fuck about humans. Like, see you later, dude. But this is interesting. You see those guys there? They're wearing these... I don't know the name of the hat, but you'll come to understand what it means. It's kind of pulled over past their ears, and they generally come in pairs of two. They're a wandering unit that are either in a vehicle or just patrolling, and they seem to walk along the roads, just outside of guard posts, in between areas. They will catch you out more than anything in this game. Because you'll turn a corner and they'll both be there, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, fellas, you could have made some noise. And the amount of times you've been riding your horse and you'll turn a corner and you'll go directly into the headlights of a truck that those two bastards are in, those are the guys that are going to get you the most in this game when you're traversing without paying too much attention. And it's good to keep you on your toes, but eventually it can get kind of annoying. But as I was saying, the reason I think that this is a good barometer of what you're going to be doing in this game is because you spend a lot of time doing what I'm doing now. There is more time spent travelling to an area where a mission is than there is doing the mission. And the moments where you're at the mission and you're navigating what the game wants you to do, those moments are amazing. I really, really like them. These moments right now, I enjoyed doing this because there's the threat of being spotted. I'm going for a rank, so I'm conscious of my score. But when you play this back and you keep having to travel 1,800 meters, it's not very fun. And you know, if you're using a different buddy, you can't use the horse. So you have to use a vehicle. And if you don't have a vehicle, you have to run. Now imagine running 800 meters here. A little different, especially when the camera shakes so much I turn it off, and the fact that you make so much noise when you move on this game. I don't even know why. Like, you can wear the stealth suit, was it called stealth suit or stealth outfit? I can't remember. The sneaking suit, I think it is, which is the one from Peace Walker, the stealth equivalent of the big sugar puff suit for combat. And its passive ability makes your footsteps silent. Yet when you move, the game still gives you audio feedback that literally sounds like you're dragging a fucking lawnmower or something. It makes so much noise. And it's really off-putting. Like, when you crouch walk, you sound like you're dragging a fridge. That is not what a crouch walk should sound like. You're meant to sound kind of quiet. Like, can you imagine Splinter Cell? If every footstep Sam took sounded like he was wearing clogs? It's like, that's what it's like. Like, listen now. Obviously, I've got the audio muted so that the commentary can be the defining feature here, but he makes so much noise. All the time. And I hate it. I really do. Because it lies to you as a player. We've been conditioned by playing games that audio feedback is in some way realistic. Some games it's not, certain games it is. In this game it's not. You can be crouch walking behind a guy at like 10 meters making more noise than a small army of, you know, Salvation people, Sally Army, and he won't hear you. But he should, because you sound so damn loud. And it's just one of those really... It disconnects me when I play. And at first, I found it really difficult to adjust because I'd never felt like I was making... You know, I always felt like I was making too much noise, even though you're not. And you can even have your cassette player playing, and I don't think it affects anybody. And when you look at your character model, he doesn't look like he's got a headphone in. So where's the sound going? But it's one of those silly things that really wound me up until I got used to it. Now it's white noise. Now my brain just filters it out because I've played for so long. But at the time, really, really annoying. Something worth noting here, folks, as I take probably the easiest path through this area. My first playthrough, I went down the right-hand side that's so dense with soldiers, I thought this section was going to be impossible. But there is a bad checkpoint coming up. If you get spotted in any of this area past here after the save, it's going to spawn you to the opening where those people were walking in that's like 50 meters to my right. It's not going to spawn you on that flank that I just went up just then, so you need to be aware of that. It's also going to push their animation onwards because they're escorting a prisoner towards an area that we're going to be moving forward through very shortly. The faster you do this, the less resistance you'll meet. There is an objective for taking the prisoner away, but we're not going to do it because once again we're going for S ranks, and S ranks mean business. If you're going to try and do every task in one run, you're going to pull your fucking hair out. The game just wasn't designed like that, guys. That being said, I am certain that you'll be able to do it for a majority of the missions, but certain ones, it's just super unrealistic. The timing is too specific, and this guy turned around. So if you press Y when you're prone and not moving, you'll go into this kind of pray and lay mode, where you are the least detectable you can physically be. And you don't have to wait for the prompt to show up to do that. You can just kind of mash Y and it'll go into that stance. If you try and move, you'll come out of it. So something to bear in mind. It's a really, really good thing. I use it quite a lot for healing. In this game, the life is regenerative, and it only regenerates when Snake's not moving. So if you continue to move, you will never regenerate, and it can, you know, do some bad things. Right now, there's a chance I could possibly sneak past this guy, but I trank him anyway because I was under the association that I was going to be firing my weapon in this mission. And now I think back, I don't. So if I'd have not shot him then, there's a chance I would have got the no trace bonus on this mission, which is really disappointing, but, you know, there it was. It's in the heat of the moment. I'm probably going to come back and try and no trace the entire game, but it all depends on how I feel in a week's time. So you cannot go between surfaces of geometry laid down. Snake will not do it, which I think is retarded, because you have to stand up and risk being spotted to get off of things. It's a collision issue, which should have been taken away a very long time ago. But there's a mechanic in this game where the night vision goggles enable you to see things that are important. One of the things that really threw me off with the night vision goggles is I believe they're both night vision and thermal at the same time. I spent so long trying to develop thermal goggles that I don't think I have to this day because the night vision do it as well. But I just find that really weird. And I might be wrong, you know, like I've mentioned, guys, I'm no arbiter of Metal Gear Solid 5. But here is the weapon you're coming for. You notice the box was luminous, that's what I was looking for. Now you've picked this up, all we need to do is move back towards the area we came from, and we're going to get ambushed by skulls, which is one of the boss fights. The second boss fight of the game, if you go by the game's distinction of it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to crawl across this cavern and we're going to go out through one of the tunnels. The issue here is the two guys that are patrolling, they have a very interesting pattern of they explore what they're looking at in those rooms and then they turn back towards this area. And when they turn back towards this area, they do so for a very long time. So at this point, because this rock's in the way, and I don't want to stand up for fear of those guys turning around, and I'm going to lay down now because I have to. I'm going to wait here for longer than I would like to, but I'm forced to because you will get spotted. The good news is, the level's pretty much done at this point, and I didn't really know what I was going to do against the skulls. I assumed I was going to counter the CQC and then kill them with the assault rifle. Something you need to bear in mind, when the skulls attack and they're alerted, it doesn't count as an alarm, so you will not lose your perfect stealth bonus. You also cannot kill them, technically. Even when you kill them, be it through tranquilizer or lethal means, it doesn't count towards those things. It's like the free game. And when you trank them, you can, after a certain part in the game, you can extract them. But also, if you kill them just normal guns-wise, you can extract them as well. So there's really no choice of, no limitations to the choices, I should say, of how you choose to take them out. Because you can do it in any way, and both ways will enable you to extract them, which I think is really cool. That being said, I think the skulls are completely bullshit enemy-wise. I think the balance to them is really off. And it stems from how many times I've shot them with rockets. I just don't agree with how much they take. Like, they have armor which regenerates, and when it regenerates you have to lower its armor again to do damage to it. And they have a lot of life without this regenerating armor concept. If I could compare them to something to give you an idea of just how assholey they can be, even though not quite as dangerous as the thing I'm going to mention, I would compare them to a creature in Mass Effect 2 that was this large floating tank monster, and it had a barrier, and it kept getting its barrier back. And the barrier took forever to take down unless you had ways of taking it down. And on my team at that moment, I didn't have the capacity to do the bionics to get rid of barrier, or the explosions of 2 different things, or incinerate or shock, or however I can't remember what's the best way to get barrier down. So I'm a soldier with guns trying to take a barrier down, not doing a very compelling job, and it was a pain in the dick. But that's what the skulls remind me of, because I was surprised at the sheer amount of rockets they took without dying. Like, I shot one in the head with my tranquilizer gun, and I didn't even see his life go down. Like, his stun bar didn't move, and when you do that with the best tool you've got, it's so disheartening, and it makes these sequences just not very enjoyable. That being said, if you CQC counter them, they go into a stun state where they take really big damage, and you can kill them super fast that way, but there's no way to predict and make them do it. Like, look at them now, they're shooting. If they choose to shoot at you, good luck, because if they hit you, it's up to them. Like, you can dive, you can crouch, you can run, but there's a chance you're still going to get hit. And it's just one of those things where it feels so messy. And I like a boss where I can do it with skill without them touching me, effectively. And when you trigger these things, not getting hit seems to be more about luck than actual skill. And I don't like that at all. That being said, I know there will be really good ways of taking them down, and the way you're about to see here is just cowardice. I'm going to skip them. I'm going to sneak my way through this area, because there is a bonus objective for not firing the honeybee. If you use the honeybee on them on this sequence, it kills them super quickly, and it makes this fight really trivial. But because I'm choosing not to use it, it's a pretty different encounter. So instead, I decide to come up here, and I've never done this before, so what you're watching now is my pioneering adventure. It is my onwards, into the fray, not really knowing if this will work. And I get pretty surprised by the fact that they have no idea where I am. So I'm pretty much free to sneak all the way out of this canyon, or this valley. But the game does something really weird. When I get to the top of this, for some reason the skulls teleport to where I am, and immediately know where I am, and start shooting at me, and they hit me too. And then, they vanish!
Roger.
And I couldn't tell you why. Like, straight up, I know that certain encounters, I think if you get far enough away, they do go, but at this point, like, you can hear them now. It must have been when I stood up, just then to run. I stood up and they heard me, because they're bouncing and they're teleporting, and there they are. And I lay down, I take a hit, I take another fucking hit, and I'm like, shit, this doesn't work. I thought I had it. I thought I'd got this really good plot. And then they all pop up, and then they're gone. They jump around a bit, I put my gun on, and then I think the fog clears. Oh no, they use the fog ability. So, in my mind right now, they can't see me, I can't see them, let's just go for it. I start walking forward. There's one of those puppet guys, he slaps me, but it doesn't count for some reason. Doesn't tell me I took a hit. And then they evaporate. And then I get a save point. Yeah, I didn't understand it either, guys. I was just like, what the fuck? But there it is. You can skip that fight, and I believe, maybe, if you keep crouched where I stood up and ran, they don't see you. But I get a feeling that they still do what they did then to try and cock block you. I could be wrong, though. And here's the teleporting horse. Always the sign of a great horse when they teleport. And all that's left to do now, guys, is ride out to the extraction point. But the skulls... My issue I have with the skulls and with the game in general is it's kind of a pay-to-win system that they have in place. Every other Metal Gear that I've played, you can do everything in those games with the very starting equipment. The very first pistol you get is the best weapon in the game and will lead you to victory if you use it correctly. This game doesn't have that, and neither did Peace Walker. This game is Peace Walker in a lot of ways. It is literally that game on a grander scale, bringing together the narrative of Metal Gear. And what I mean by this, folks, is there were bosses on Peace Walker where you could barely dint them until you got a ridiculously good rocket launcher that took ages to fucking build, and then you came back and you could do damage. That is not good design in my heart. That is longevity in mind. That is grinding in mind. That is a time investment, a time sink, and that's not my idea of great gameplay, but that's what a lot of things are in this game. Even in the official walkthrough, they tell you on your first playthrough not to care about rank, not to worry about alarms sounding, because there are encounters in this game that you simply don't have the technology to do comfortably, intelligently, or well enough yet, let alone the skills needed to apply those technologies. And I don't like that. I don't think it's a massive problem, because I think it's a design choice, but to me, that's not how a game should be. But thank you very much for watching. Good luck on that mission anyhow, and you take care now.